Good afternoon, everyone. This is such an honor to participate in the 11th Annual Organic Association of Kentucky Conference. Thank you so much. I've looked so forward to this. And as was mentioned earlier, we're having some technical difficulties, so it's a good thing to be here in this space. I am Jennifer Taylor. I am a USDA certified organic farm owner and organic farmer in the great, wonderful state of Georgia. I am here today to talk with you about my experiences and what I've learned and what I'm passing on to others, what I've learned from my elders, especially my grandmother. She empowered me and made a path for me. Have you ever had that kind of change agent in your life? You know, someone you don't really think so much about at the time, but has really impacted your life. My grandmother was a change agent that brought freedom to my purpose, that sowed good seed in my life and equipped me and enabled me to find an alternative pathway of resilience, thriving, and well-being. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. This is an aerial view of my grandmother's farmland. My grandmother was given an opportunity to buy her own land to change her state of life, so to speak, from that of a sharecropper to becoming a landowner. My mother said they worked so hard that year, gathering in all the pennies that they could, all the money that they could, cleaning houses and doing yards for people and washing clothes and cooking and baking and all kinds of extra work that they could come up with. And my grandmother also made a very good moonshine in the community. So that was really helpful too. And that brought in the majority of the money for sure. So that by the time that the owner came to see if my grandmother had the money, she actually had the money. She had all of it. Can you believe that my grandmother, an indigenous Black woman with a second grade education, had the vision to take this opportunity to sow seeds, to grow a better life for herself and her family? I often wonder if she realized what kind of power play this was in her colored community in the backwoods of rural Georgia. My grandmother bought her own farmland and became a successful farmer in her community. She loved and respected her land and her life on her farm. On her small farm, my grandmother used her traditional farm methods to grow all kinds of wonderful fruits and nuts and vegetables, you know, like the Georgia sweet peaches and the nectarines and walnuts and pecans and pears and sugarcane and sweet potatoes, collard greens, turnip greens, mustard greens, all kinds of greens, field peas, corn, peanuts, onions, garlics, and she grew vanilla, which is the oddest thing that I can think of, for the things that she would make out of vanilla. And cactus was one of her specialty dishes that she kept available at the farm as well. She had ducks and chickens and turkeys, and she would run her turkeys through the peach orchard, similar to the idea of pastured poultry, I imagine. And she had a small herd of cows that she kept for her milk and her butter, and she ran those through the wooded forest areas of her farm on her own farmland. She grew produce in abundance, and she had extra to share with folks in need, and canned and preserved everything, even her meats. Her shelves were lined with colorful preserved vegetables, and her table provided fresh foods from her farm, cakes and pies and plates for people that needed them. My grandmother would bring packages to us in Florida, where I was raised. She would bring care boxes filled to the brim with her fresh harvested produce and value-added products that she was growing on her farm. She needed these farm goods. We needed these farm goods. We needed to keep our memory of her freedom growing on her own farmland and her hard work and her joy on her own farm. My grandmother was inclusive of me. She was inclusive of her future generations. So we are so thankful for the vision that my grandmother had, just to give a little honor to my grandmother there. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Years ago, my grandmother farmed this very land. Today, we are the only certified organic farm in our county and in the surrounding counties. We grow some of the same crops that my grandmother grew. We use some of the same even tools that she used. At Lola's Organic Farm, we use our traditional organic farming systems, practice pathways to grow healthy soils, to encourage healthy environments and healthy communities, and to grow certified organic herbs and vegetables and fruits all year long. And we feature specialty items, specialty produce, unique heirloom varieties. We grow foods especially selected for their unique colors and unique flavors and unique sweetnesses, and foods that are good for you, my grandmother would say. These are qualities that my grandmother encouraged in her farming and on her table. The next slide, please. Our organic farming system strategies include using cover crops and compost and worm compost. You know, you're familiar with all of these, I'm sure. Crop rotations to support healthy soils. We use intensive cover crop mixes to control and manage weeds and encourage vegetable yields. We use cover crop mixes to enable pollinator habitats and beneficial insect habitats. We plant everything in raised beds. We use primarily pine straw mulch, harvested from our own forest land, and we save our seeds. We are always selecting to use less off-farm products. We don't use GMOs, our GMO agricultural strategies, or glyphosates in any of our production of anything. We do, however, select varieties that grow best in our farm environment and our sandy loam soil environment and under our extreme summers and winter temperatures. Can you go to the next slide, please? We grow cover crops all year. Here is a photo of cover crop mixes of hairy veg and barley and subterranean clover in the field and in the high tunnel, and cover crop mixes of iron and clay peas and millet and buckwheat in the field, and buckwheat in the high tunnels with turmeric growing in it. We use cover crops to suppress invasive weeds and for all of the benefits of cover crops, like to prevent soil erosion and conserving soil moisture and increase organic matter. We actually had a SARE producer grant that helped us to explore the benefits of cover crops as a control for invasive weeds. Can you go to the next slide, please? Here you see young strawberries with pine straw that we've harvested from our farmland, organic pine straw mulch, garlic in the low tunnels with the pine straw mulch, ginger and turmeric growing in high tunnels with compost, following the cover crops that had grown there previously, and a picture of watermelons growing with turmeric in high tunnels. And the watermelons did a really good job of shading out the weeds. Next slide, please. Thanks. This is a photo of the different varieties of muscadines that we grow. We grow probably about 12 different kinds of muscadine, trying to figure out what grows best. Muscadine is a native plant to our area, so it does do well. And the cactus that I told you about that my grandmother was a part of her table. Can you go to the next slide, please? And here's a photo of some of the produce from our farm, just some of the produce. There's several varieties of sweet potatoes, as you can tell and see, ginger and turmeric, and a couple of different kinds of strawberries. And from our farm, we provide, can you go back one? Go back one. Yeah, right there, thanks. And from our farm, we provide hands-on learning sessions on traditional farming systems, agroecology farm practices, and organic farming systems. And we share information on the principles of organic agriculture and the benefits of organic agriculture with all of the farmers, with the BIPOC farmers, with all of the surrounding communities. These are really engaging 4 to 5 hour workshops that take place at our farm after we have had hands-on learnings and a farmer-facilitated farm tour. We then share an all organic dinner together and sit down and talk business about organic agriculture. What is this thing? Why are you all doing it? We get asked. What are your experiences with organic certification process? Is it a good thing? Does it help you? Who helps you? Where is the help? Which agencies can you find out more information? What are the resources for getting seeds and amendments? All kinds of information that is very useful for providing beneficial movement towards organic farming strategies for BIPOC farmers and all farmers. We also share about alternative market networks and, of course, provide information on related programs, USDA programs that support organic farming systems and organic agriculture. Next slide, please. We feel that these types of learning sessions, participatory capacity building sessions, work to build awareness of the benefits of our traditional agricultural practices of organic farming systems and agroecology farm practices, and the benefits of organic certification for those farmers that may be interested. These on organic farm workshops encourage opportunities to build healthy soils and promote healthy environments, healthy food systems, and healthy communities with underserved small farmers and their communities, resource poor farmers and their communities, on BIPOC farmlands and on all farmlands. We feel that it is important to share the benefits of organic agriculture and organic farming systems with all communities, inclusive of underserved small farmers, resource poor farmers, socially disadvantaged, and BIPOC farming communities, so that all communities can gain the positive benefits and the positive impacts of organic farming systems. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So I found this quote and I thought it was a great one. Over 100 years ago, Dr. George Washington Carver said, "It has always been the one great ideal of my life to be of the greatest good to the greatest number of my people possible. And to this end, I have been preparing myself these many years, feeling as I do that this line of education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom to our people." So beautiful, so beautiful. Next slide, please. At Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, which is an 1890 land grant institution, I am associate professor, and I created and implemented our statewide small farm program. The statewide small farm program is an active participatory capacity building sustainable development program designed to assist and empower underserved small farm populations and their communities. The next slide, please. The program works to identify needs and barriers and hindrances and challenges, and then works together with the farmers and the community to develop possible solutions that bring about the change. We're looking for change here. We're equipping people for change to enable their own change. The program provides relevant participatory education, technical assistance, and trainings, and hands-on trainings pre-COVID on agroecology and organic farming systems and well-being strategies, alternative market development, sustainable living, and other specified relevant areas. We work to enhance small farm sustainability and enable small farm thrivability to build resilient, thriving livelihoods, viable, healthy food systems to enable nutritious food sovereignty, healthy local environments, and healthy communities for underserved small farm communities and all communities. All will reap the benefits as we take this message through the organic movement. Next slide, please. And all of the capacity building efforts working together to identify needs and providing education and trainings and technical assistance are available to all underserved farming communities. Here is a brochure that we have in Spanish, provides the same information in Spanish to our communities on the possibility to engage in their change. The next slide, please. The next three slides will provide some examples of the types of participatory capacity building sessions that are requested by the farmers and their community. So these are sessions that are requested by the farmers. They're saying, we want to learn about this. We need to know about this. We need to know, how this works and how to make our farm more sustainable and more profitable, or engage more in organic agricultural strategies. So these are some examples of the types of participatory capacity building sessions that are requested by farmers and their communities. These are intensive 1 to 2 day, all day learnings, followed by hands-on trainings and farmer facilitated organic farm tours. And they're designed to meet the specific needs to increase knowledge, skills, and technical assistance for farmers and their communities. The sessions also promote public awareness of local food providers and the benefits of organic agriculture to all. Next slide, please. Capacity building sessions on seed saving techniques and seed business strategies and organic management, examining the different integrated strategies, and organic beekeeping come up a lot. These kinds of participatory sessions are often to equip the farmers being successful in their farm operations. All of our sessions use organic farming systems or agroecology organic farm practices as the fundamental background to engage learning. So everything is based on organic farming systems. Organic farming systems are the unique opportunity to engage all farmers and teach all things. So that we always start with organic farming systems as the true way. And all of these sessions also include farmer facilitated on-farm learning tours. The next slide, please. This slide is continuing to show you the farmers' interests and the kinds of sessions that they're interested in. And these, as I said earlier, are full 1 or 2 day sessions, all day sessions, followed by farmer facilitated tours. The next slide, please. And then we see change. We see changes in the dialogues of the farmers. We see changes in farmer support for the programs. We see changes in how farmers choose to grow their own food, choose to select their own seed. We see changes in how farmers choose to use agroecology, organic farming practices as their primary strategy, as their strategy on their farm. The next slide, please. We see changes as farmers choose to transition to agroecology and incorporate, for example, cover crops or crop rotations, and choosing to use strategies that build healthy soils and promote healthy local environments and healthy local food systems for their own families and for their own communities. Next slide, please. And then they get to bring the produce to market. And we work with farmers and their communities to develop alternative participatory farmer markets. We see changes in how farmers' ability to provide fresh, organic, agroecology method food and organic certified produce to the local marketplace. And we see positive changes in community support and community awareness of their local food resources and their local food environments, the environments that the foods are being grown in. These are important to our consumers and to our communities. These are organic farming system pathways that enable change and well-being. Next slide, please. We work with communities as partners to develop organic community learning gardens with youth and their parents, not just youth alone, the parents and the youth together learning. These sessions not only build relationships, but they also help to make healthy food more readily available within underserved communities. Next slide, please. This is a farm worker capacity building session in a very pre-COVID kind of mode. At this point, where you see these pictures taking place, there has always been a learning and an assessment of what the needs are and what the challenges are and the direction that the farm workers want the capacity session to take, and the direction and the skills and the enhancing of information that the farm workers want to see take place in their own session. So we work together to develop this relevant capacity building session. In this session in particular, it was designed to provide access and information on healthy food choices and medical screenings and healthcare on diabetes and hypertension, cancer, pesticide contamination, and other specific and relevant learnings that the farm workers wanted to know about. All of the information, all of the discussion, all of the screenings, all of the hard copy, the papers, all of the communications were provided in Spanish only. These capacity building sessions provided access for the collaborators too. Work in 2 or 3 ways here. Access for the participants and access for the collaborators. That included state and local health departments and cancer societies, American Red Cross, vocational schools, migrant education, university medical schools, and several departments within allied health and pharmacy department, and the School of Nursing, and of course, cooperative extension, all work together to enable and equip underserved communities to thrive and experience resilient livelihoods and well-being. We would sometimes have 400 to 500 farm workers that would come out for these capacity building sessions that would last 4 to 6 hours long. These sessions help to create a relationship and to build relationship, and they were a great success. Next slide, please. Thanks. 4 years ago, we had a national project that gave us an opportunity to talk with underserved farming populations, socially disadvantaged farmers and rancher communities across the nation to identify their hindrances and needs and barriers with organic agriculture in particular. The participant farmers identified that they lacked knowledge and training about organic practices, specifically what is organic agriculture and what is not? What are the practices that support organic farming systems, organic agriculture, and what practices do not? They knew about the benefits of organic agriculture, the benefits of building and promoting healthy soils, enabling healthy environments and healthy foods for their families and communities. But the farmers needed to know how to get there. Generally, their local agencies were not helpful with these particular populations and with organic agriculture. The next slide, please. Thank you. During the capacity building sessions, we provided an all-day intensive learning on organic farming systems, organic certification, application in the process, hands-on, taking through the application, the relevant USDA programs that promote organic agriculture, and resources for organic seeds and amendments. And whatever the information is that the farmers needed to know, we were there to provide it to them and take them through it. We did this to empower these farmers who wanted to know more about how to build healthy soils and healthy environments, resilient organic farms, and thriving healthy communities in their communities, and for the benefit of all communities. At the capacity building sessions, over 90% of the participant farmers indicated that they had increased knowledge and awareness of organic farming systems and organic agriculture and the certification process. Next slide, please. Thank you. In June 2021, just past June, we created an ANOFO North America capacity building session with the ANOFO headquarters as a part of the 2021 United Nations Food Systems Summit Dialogue. ANOFO stands for the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farmer Organizations. Our capacity building sessions brought together the voices of socially disadvantaged farmers and their organizations, and the voices of underserved farming populations in the United States. These were BIPOC farmer voices that were not included at the table when the decisions were being made. This particular capacity building session gave an opportunity to add the voice of socially disadvantaged farmers to the international discussions and the national and international deliberate actions, and gave an opportunity for us as Black agroecology and certified organic small farmers and farmer organizations an opportunity to share our benefits as small farmers, our visions, our hopes, and well-being pathways towards building a better future today and tomorrow. The voices of socially disadvantaged farmers and their organizations were added to the international dialogues of the United Nations in the 2021 United Nations Food Systems Summit. Next slide, please. Thank you. You know how much of that you can actually see, sorry about that. This actually is a new project that was recently funded, not a year old. And currently, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, that serves as PI for this project, we are participating in a national project. This is a national project with the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. Both of us are 1890 land-grant institutions. And we're participating together with USDA Agricultural Marketing Service to support historically underserved farmers, ranchers, fishers, and agricultural businesses by assessing their challenges and creating support. Our region of the United States is the southern region, redefined as ranging from Virginia and the Carolinas and Kentucky, all the way across the South, inclusive of Kansas and Missouri and Colorado and Utah and Nevada and California, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Alaska. So this, for the purposes of this project, those states and all the states below them represent the southern part of the project, and of which I serve as PI for. This new project will identify needs, hindrances, and evaluate barriers and challenges to the USDA grant program and their opportunities for socially disadvantaged farmers and communities. And the project will develop actions, recommendations to rectify inequalities in program access. This national project is a great opportunity to enable change for underserved communities, to enable access to USDA AMS programs, and to develop technical assistance, training materials, and other resources that will assist, equip, and enable socially disadvantaged communities in all communities. In particular, these programs are addressing the local food promotion program, the farmers market promotion program, regional food systems partnership grant, specialty crop block grant program. Those are the focus of this particular project. The next slide, please. In closing, I suggest that there are successful alternative pathways that demonstrate how we as Black voices and Black agroecology organic farmers are working to engage, empower, equip, and advocate for change. Change in our local and national communities and change in all communities. We, you and I, have an opportunity to encourage and to build better participatory organic agriculture food systems and well-being strategies. In Kentucky, you and I have such a great opportunity with others, our neighbors throughout the nation, to work with organic organizations and farmer networks to specifically share resources and information and knowledge on organic farming systems with underserved farming populations outside of your own communities and neighborhoods. Yes, and we will share our vast knowledge too. That's how it works when you're building relationships, yes. I suggest that this is how we must choose to grow a more inclusive organic farming movement. This is how we can work together to sow well-intended seeds that enable healthy soils, resilient organic farms, and thriving communities for all human beings, especially inclusive of the underserved small farmers, resource poor farmers, and socially disadvantaged farmers in their communities. This is an alternative pathway to enable all human beings. Thank you so much for this great opportunity to speak with you today.
Oh my goodness, Jennifer, you have given us so much to think about, and it's just incredible and so inspiring to hear about the work you've done in Florida and beyond. We're going to give you just a minute to catch your breath. We're seeing a lot of great chats and exclamation points come through in the chat bar here. We're going to capture these questions and sort of organize them a bit. It seems like the questions are a lot about your initial outreach and the community building. I'm wondering if you could share a little bit with us on sort of the historical timeline of how you got the project going at Florida, and some of those initial conversations, initial stakeholders, and that the time and planning it took. I mean, because your pictures are amazing. That's so many people showing up for these events. So walk us through a little bit of the start to, getting 400 farm workers to a single event kind of thing.
Yes. So this is an interesting story. Okay. So at the university, I was given the task to develop our small farm program. Okay. And I said to myself, I got to go talk to some small farmers. So I went to the surrounding counties. I'm in Leon County, surrounding counties. All of the extension directors said there were no small farmers. I went a little further out, reached around. They all said there were no small farmers. So I said, okay, there's a problem going on here. I started going in the back roads myself. I would just take back roads and talk to people and ask, are there any small farmers? Are there any farmers here? And they point you here and point you there. And I stop and talk and ask them, what were their needs and what were they trying to accomplish? And we're trying to develop a program, what they like to be a part of, and how would they like to see it take place, and how could it be a benefit to them? All kinds of questions and dialogues. And so what I found out was that maybe there was almost no county that shared the information with me. What I found out was that the extension decided that they didn't do outreach. They only did took in request or help or assistance from people who would come through the door. Okay. And these farmers, small farmers, weren't coming through the door. So therefore they would say there's none. Okay. And probably other issues going on there too. But so in essence, I went through the state of Florida in all of the counties, identifying small farmers and assessing what the needs were and what were their challenges and what would they want to see in a program coming from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. Some places down Florida where people didn't even know about FAMU, okay? Because we're like in the northern area, and I'm down in Broward County and around Miami and every place talking to farmers down there, finding farmers, locating farmers to talk with. And so I brought their requests to the table, so to speak, and what they wanted to see in the program. And it wasn't so much about the extension programs that were, being promoted in cooperative extension. It was more, this particular program was more about identifying the needs and working with the farmers to directly assist and equip. Now, when they leave these workshops, they got answers. We don't roll like that. They know how to do a thing. We're doing hands-on. They know whatever it is, they know how to do it, okay? And if they didn't, we're having another one the next day. They already know up front. It could be a 1 or 2 day, but we're gonna try to knock this out, okay? Intensive the whole day with organic food being provided to the whole community, whoever would come for the workshop. So that was the intention and the purpose, to identify the needs and the challenges of underserved small farm populations throughout the state of Florida and throughout the region as a program expanded and other farmers wanted to work with us too. It is a sustainable development program. And so we're not only looking at the agricultural vocation of the person, but we're looking at what the needs are. Do you need information about health concern? Do you need information for your children or diabetes or whatever the issue is? Because it is sustainable development, and we're working to equip and enable the well-being of the person as well as their soil and their environment and their agriculture enterprise. And so the farmers responded positively in every case, in every workshop, because it was about them and it was directly relevant to their needs and their challenges and their purpose. So it's been a successful program.
I'm thinking about your mileage and how many hours and how many counties are there in Florida. I mean, how much time are we talking about here, Jennifer? Is this like 3 years of just like going door to door, farm to farm?
Not quite, but at least probably a good year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. Just laying that foundation and what is it that farmers need, and building the program and presenting the case from a place where there's nothing, from a place where there's nothing at all, to this is what we can do and this is how to do it. But I must say that this was also my dissertation. I did study this on a more of a global basis, and I studied over 1 million farmers and how to identify the needs and sustainability indicators and that kind of thing. So I had that background in training, but actually to implement the program from scratch is what I needed to accomplish at Florida A&M University, and I was able to do so.
Wow. Okay, so I'm thinking a little bit about from your experience in building the program and connecting with new farmers and sort of the communication network and the relationship building you're doing through those early stages. What I'm wondering if you would share with us, what were some of the most effective communication tools that you used? What were people saying they needed in terms of like how to stay in touch and how to, what was the feedback process and what were the tools that you used there? So,
as is still the case now, the telephone is almost the best way. The telephone and texting is still almost the best way, because so many farmers don't have internet in their homes still. So internet and email never became the primary way for farmers. It became the primary way to let the community know that something is happening, So with farmers, once I identified what the needs were, and we worked together to grow the program, to grow the capacity building session, to build the skills and the hands-on training into the session, then because the farmers were also serving as co-leaders, they had to shoulder the responsibility to also get the word out to other farmers. So it became a very good collaboration and partnership with farmers, because they were assisting in the development of the capacity building session. They knew other farmers that had similar needs, and so, and others that didn't. I'm putting it out there in the newspaper, and I'm putting it out there in different kind of public ways. Not so much extension list. Oftentimes these farmers weren't on extension lists, so I couldn't really fall back on that information. I had to kind of develop different kinds of networks.
Yeah, we're thinking a lot about that here, and recognizing, I want to acknowledge that requires a lot of time and resources, right? And that it's so much about the relationship building, right, through that process. So I guess I'm curious, as a follow-up to that, how much has the experience and the growth of this program, right, and in your work, the project's work, identifying that there are in fact all these small farmers out there, right? How have those efforts shifted the relationship and engagement with ag professionals, with those institutional ag professionals? Can you talk a little bit about that evolution?
So in the beginning, when I was identifying farmers and their needs and their challenges, and actually providing the capacity building sessions, the administrators of the project, one of the administrators at the university, thought that it wasn't a real interest of farmers. Organic agriculture is like a hobby idea. Organic agriculture isn't real, and organic farmers aren't real. And these are just hobby. Jennifer, what are you doing? These are just hobby farmers you're bringing in. Until one day, I had it was a terrible day. It was like, good for a farmer, lots of rain. Okay, it was like pouring down rain, and it started raining, and we were on this farmer's farm. And we put up all these tents, leaking tents, and people were sitting under the tents. And the workshop probably had 130, 140 farmers that came out in the rain to the workshop. And it just so happened that my supervisor was there. And he was amazed that the farmers actually came out first in the woods at this farm, but then in this weather, and stayed the whole time and asked him questions and let him know that, this is important. And they were brave. They would go up and say, Jennifer's doing a really good job here. We need more people like her to do so and so, so and so. And so that kind of recognition from the farming population was very much instrumental in gaining support at the university. Those voices, when my supervisors and the deans and whoever else will go out in the community, and I don't know where they're going, but they always got a positive response from the farmers. And I would hear back. They were all in whatever faraway county, and the farmer says this about the program, and the farmer says this, and it's really helpful. Keep up the good work, or whatever that message was. But those kinds of communications back were really helpful to help to get the program moving.
Yeah, it's so important to know what those farmers need and want, right?
It is.
It really is. Especially for the institutions that are there to serve farmers, right? If they don't know what those farmers need. So
yes, it is really
outstanding. We in talking with you and inviting you to come talk with us, we know that you've done some on-farm research through the SARE program. Could you talk a little bit more about your project and sort of some of the findings that you had during that and what's come since then?
Yeah, sure. So I showed you a picture of the farm. Beautiful grass, most beautiful grass and pasture land you ever want to see, Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass strangles all of your vegetables, okay? And you have to control and manage it, whatever cute word you want to do, mitigate it in some ways, just so that you can grow something there, okay? So
we get it here too. We get it here too.
Okay. So the SARE producer grant enabled us to examine two different kinds of management strategies. One was intensive biological control. That's what it was, but it was cover crop mixes, intensive cover crop mixes. The other was multiple tillage. And we were looking for tools that organic farmers could use. We were certified organic, and we don't want to encourage going outside of strategies that are not beneficial for organic farming systems, okay? Multiple tillage is drawing the line already, okay? But so that was a part of the project. So we use this multiple tillage practice, which is continual tillage and raking, and you're raking the Bermuda grass. And the other is the use of buckwheat, pearl millet, and iron and clay peat, intensive planted to control Bermuda grass. And what we found was that the cover crop mixes gave a plot, an area that was more rich in moisture and beneficial insects. And also, of course, you have the organic matter and all of that, the pollinators and all that going on with the cover crop mixes. And the multiple tillage gave a more, of course, dry, we practically killed the soil in that area with the multiple tillage. But I mean, it was a very, very dry course, and you would see the impact reflected in the growth of the vegetables. So when we planted vegetables following the multiple tillage, the vegetables actually were like, there was no amount of moisture that could help them out. They were just like withered things, kind of small in size. And those vegetables that were following the cover crop mixture were up and vibrant and full of life in appearance. So what we learned is that the multiple tillage, of course, control the Bermuda grass. That's what it's doing, and with the raking, combined with the raking, but it damaged the soil. And it's not a beneficial exercise for organic farmers that are interested in building healthy soils. Whereas the use of the multiple cover crop mixes provided a more beneficial soil environment with the moisture content and the different other kind of measures that we did, the organic matter, everything changed. Now, the cover crop mix required an additional 2-3 months of coverage in order to reach the same range and benefit that the multiple tillage. So the multiple tillage, you get in there and you rake and you rake and you rake and you're tilling, and you got almost an immediate response with the removal of the Bermuda grass, but it hindered the well-being of the soil. Whereas the cover crop mixture needed probably like an additional 2 months to get to the same stage, but you got all of the benefits of the cover crops with that plot. So it was really great, and we get people all the time that come across that project with SARE, and all across the country say, we've got Bermuda grass problems too, and how'd y'all do that? But it really was so helpful, so helpful. Even today, and that was a project that ended in 2015, even today in those areas, we still don't have the same magnitude of Bermuda grass.
That's awesome. Well, Jenny just linked to your research on SARE's website there, Southern SARE. So anybody that wants to check it out, you can see that report. And we really love highlighting that program, because doing on-farm research is really what's going to grow the opportunities and knowledge of these regionally appropriate management strategies. And it's so fun to see it happening. So thank you for doing that and sharing that story with our folks. And if anyone's interested in learning more about how to get started with on-farm research, just hop on over to the trade show and go chat with Dara Monifa Cooper's there with Southern SARE, and she'll be able to answer your questions. Yeah, they're a big supporter of the conference here. And we have a really strong Kentucky state model program for the SARE program as well. So if y'all have any questions about the Kentucky program, feel free to reach out and I'll connect you with representatives there. So it is just about time to close up. And I want to, we went really in on the details on your farm. We have one specific question about, we're wondering how you terminate your, well, now I'm not seeing it, wondering how you terminate your cover crops was one very specific question.
Okay, so what we use is mowing. We have a high well trimmer. So we mow them down and we turn them under. So we're not burning or using something to kill it. We're not doing that. We're just mowing it and then taking it, the whole thing, and turning it under.
Okay, great. Yeah. And then another specific question, we're wondering if you have social media for your farm or you personally, people want to follow you.
Oh, okay, great. I think so, yes. I'm not very, well, you know what? There is something that you can kind of go to a little bit, is Local Harvest, and you'll see us there. But that is something that I need to work on. Yeah.
Oh, you don't need one more thing to work on. That's fine. Well, people are excited about ginger and turmeric and all the things. And so that's why they're asking, they want to know where they can get more information about your systems in those ways. So I think the main takeaway is that they're excited about all you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, we've been talking so much about what's happening on your farm, but also what's happening in Florida. And, we have just like 1 minute left, and you do so much beyond that space, right? With these with the national organizations and that presence. And so I'm wondering if you want to share just some closing thoughts with us on the work you're doing for this organic for all type of movement, right? That what you're doing in Florida is scalable, right? And so can you share just a little bit about that as a closing?
So one idea of organic for all is that the benefits of organic agriculture need to be available to all farmers, impacting all environments, and enhancing all food systems, and communities, and the healthy impacts on communities. And one way to do that is to be willing and brave enough, so to speak, to reach out and share, provide hands-on training and technical assistance and other capacity building efforts, resources with farmers and farmer communities outside of your own neighborhood and your own community. So you're making organic agriculture and the benefits a shareable impacting well-being strategy that's there for all of us, not just for the certified organic farmer, but also for those farmers that may not want to engage in the certification practice, but they are willing and must be willing to keep the organic farming system strategies or the agroecology farming system practices. And that way we are moving the organic movement, so to speak, and engaging all people, so to speak, and sharing in and reaping in the benefits of the growing healthy food systems and healthy foods for our communities, and making change in our local environments. And we can see this change take place locally and globally. So that's one of the emphasis of the organic for all.
Yeah. Well, we are over on time. Jennifer, I'm seeing hearts and hand claps throughout. So, I am so grateful for your time today and all that you've done in your communities, and really all that you're sharing with so many people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're ever in Kentucky, please let us know. We would love to see you in person.
Thank you. Yes, I will.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
And we're just so
and I will be going there for the project. So yes, I will contact you.
Yay! We'll do it. So keep being awesome, and we can't wait to catch up with you soon. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Take care.
for the opportunity. Bye bye.
Bye bye.